Meghan Markle is set to be honoured for her work championing women and underserved communities at a major gala event in LA. Reilly Sullivan is a lifestyle reporter here at skynews.com.au and he's always across the latest celebrity and royal headlines. Reilly, great to see you.
Great to be back.
So tell us about this Meghan Markle update. She's going to be honoured for her work championing women and underserved communities at the prestigious Natural History Museum of Los Angeles Gala later this month. What's the story behind the decision to give this award to Meghan?
Yeah, well, it's kind of an interesting decision. As we know, I didn't really see an immediate link between the Natural History Museum of Los Angeles and Meghan Markle. It was sort of unclear the connection. I think that the award is ostensibly to honour her work supporting communities and women. I don't really see a connection here. I think, to be honest, I think Meghan Markle is someone who is a great mother. I think that she's, interested in her business ventures. I don't really think philanthropy has really been at the forefront for her, especially recently. The only thing I can think of in recent times was, of course, during the horrible Los Angeles wildfires. I think her and Harry really sort of stepped up. They volunteered. I know they donated some money. So I think, in terms of the Los Angeles area, that's the only real link I can make. But I do think it's probably more an opportunity for Meghan to show up, to be honoured. I don't think it's a coincidence to say that this is also happening on the same day as Trooping the Colour. So It's almost like she's planned something, or she's agreed to this, to go to this gala coinciding with the Trooping the Colour, because, as usual, Trooping the Colour is a big reminder that she's not involved in the royal family, that her and Harry are very much on the outs. So I think this is an opportunity for her to say, hey, yes, I'm living in Los Angeles, but I'm still sort of part of this prestigious philanthropic scene.
Yeah, it's an interesting point, isn't it? And also, Meghan's released a bonus episode of her Confessions of a Female Founder podcast where she interviewed Beyonce's mother, Tina Knowles. So what were the biggest takeaways from the chat? What can you tell us about it?
Yes, well, I listened to the whole 40-minute conversation. I was very curious to hear if Beyonce would come up. Of course, Tina Knowles is sort of the matriarch of the Knowles family as Beyonce and Solange's mother, and is a business person. She's had lots of different business ventures with her daughter, a hair care company. So I think that was sort of the link to Meghan's Confessions of a Female Founder podcast. But the conversation itself was pretty boring. There was a couple brief mentions of Beyonce, but realistically, it was a pretty boring conversation. I think the biggest takeaway from the interview actually had nothing to do with Tina Knowles. It was the revelation that Meghan said that she calls their mutual friend Tyler Perry, who is a big supporter of the Sussexes. She said that he is the person she calls for business advice. So all of these crazy business ventures, American Riviera Orchard, we love Meghan, all of these ventures, it's Tyler Perry allegedly pulling the strings.
Okay. Now, Freedom of Information requests have revealed that British taxpayers are on the hook for about $1.3 million in costs related to Prince Harry's failed legal battle with the Home Office. So will Harry be expected to pay or repay the costs?
Right. So the tally now is it's over 1.3 million, as you said. That includes the legal action that Harry took out against the British Home Office over the stripped security. Of course, when Harry and Meghan left royal duties, they were no longer entitled to taxpayer-funded Met police officers. That was removed. Harry was very upset about that decision. He has cited that as the reason why he refuses to come back to the UK with his family. And this has really been an ongoing court battle for over 4 years. So he's lost it multiple times on appeals. It most recently went to the UK Court of Appeals last month, and he lost. So therefore, he will be expected to likely reimburse the Home Office and therefore the taxpayer this money. I think that's only fair. If he does repay the 1.3 million, on top of his own legal fees, it's estimated that he's spent in the ballpark of about $5 million just on this legal battle. I mean, $5 million, he could have paid for security with that money. I think it's an insane decision. But, from the taxpayer's point of view, they will likely get that money repaid eventually, but it's not a good look. This is Harry. He's supposedly misses his homeland, misses his country, and he's still sort of holding up the court's time. It's the legal system, it's all of these public services that really have better things to do with their time than hear Harry's grievances in his, $20 million mansion. I think they're sick of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Very well said. Now, a royal insider has claimed that Princesses Beatrice and Eugenie are secretly on standby to take on royal duties when William becomes king. Do we know anything else about, plans for his cousins?
Yes, so this is a story, we've talked about it many times. Over the years, there's been a lot of speculation about Beatrice and Eugenie. I've always firmly believed that they will eventually be called upon for royal duties. A couple reasons why. Firstly, when William becomes king, there is going to be not enough working royals, period.
Right.
There's only 11 at the moment, but out of those 11 people currently completing royal duties, 4 or 5 of them are very elderly. You know, you've got, of course, King Charles and Queen Camilla, who are both in their mid-70s. Princess Anne's in her 70s. But even older than that, you know, we have the Duke and Duchess of Gloucester, you know, who are in their 80s now. You know, the Duke of Kent, who's, I think, 89. So realistically, these are people that are not going to be part of William's time when he becomes king. He's going to need backup. I think that the logical choice, if you look down the line of succession, is to go straight to Beatrice. I think she's always had that sense. If you look at the way that she's structured her life and her family decisions, I think all of that really leads to her thinking, I might be called upon, and I do believe that she would do it for her cousin. I think Eugenie as well would be a possible contender, because he's going to need the support. I think, you know, of course, William and Kate have 3 children, but, you know, Charlotte, you know, Louis and George are decades away from being able to take on royal duties. So I do think I would, if I'm not a betting person, but I would put a bet on Beatrice, definitely Beatrice, and possibly Eugenie becoming.
Okay, putting our money on it.
Yeah.
Now, a man has been arrested after illegally trespassing on the grounds of Windsor Castle, not far from Kate and William's family home. So tell us about this. Could this latest incident spark kind of a royal security overhaul, do you think?
Look, I think that would definitely be a discussion. This is the second time now in the span of a year where publicly it's been known that people have trespassed onto the grounds of Windsor Castle. Of course, Kate and Will and their family live inside Adelaide Cottage, which is a regular family home within the sort of confines of Windsor Castle. That is very much their sanctuary. It's where they've chosen to raise their family. So, of course, you know, their security is paramount. This latest incident happened on Sunday. It was during the daytime. In the afternoon, a man in his 30s was arrested after breaching sort of the outer, I guess, perimeter of Windsor Castle. They stress that it wasn't as serious as previous incident last year. There was another case where I think it was 2 men were able to sort of break in close to Adelaide Cottage. They got quite close. They were in the sort of outer building area. So this is a concern. I think that the security of the royal family, whether it's Prince Harry, you know, in the courtroom or not, is always a discussion, because at the end of the day, these are people who live their lives in the public eye.
Yeah.
They're essentially sitting ducks in the sense that we know where they are. You know, there's a royal diary. It's very much easy to track down royal family members. So of course their security is important, and I hope that, you know, this latest incident does certainly, I mean, spark an overhaul. Whether it changes the way that they run the security around Windsor Castle, unclear, but I do think incidents like this and the fact they've made it public shows that, you know, they are serious about prosecuting people as well.
Yeah. Reilly Sullivan, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.